Hello, hello! Today we're going to be taking a look at 5 underutilized units in Domination. These are units that I don't see much in competitive play, but that I think have a lot of application for their particular factions. Let's get started. Starting us off, we have Night Goblin Fanatics. These guys are a pretty underwhelming melee unit in and of themselves, but their active ability to spinning loons absolutely devastates enemy infantry, and can be a very, very valuable tool to greenskins who otherwise have no armor-piercing magic options and not a lot of armor-piercing shooting. So using this ability to overcome things like Chosen or Zargard or Infernal Ironsworn that are otherwise very difficult for greenskins to deal with, those very high melee defense armored infantry, just having these guys come up alongside, drop their spinning loons, and run back into stealth till they get a second charge off can be absolutely invaluable to greenskins to overcome a lot of those really heavily armored, very defensive elite factions. Coming in at 4th place, we have the War Lions of Crocs for the High Elves. These guys fill a really interesting niche for the High Elves in that they are the only armor-piercing pseudo-cav unit you have. All of the basic elf cavalry is non-AP, and that can really cause you some problems when you're facing off against factions like the Empire or Kislev that have a lot of that armored cav for you to contest with. So having these guys and weaving them in with your cavalry, despite their bonus versus infantry, will actually pay dividends and really take your mobility game to the next level. And then of course they're also very, very useful against armored infantry, as their stats would suggest. Into things like dwarves or chaos dwarves, they can run around, they can rear charge, they can disrupt the blasting charges, and they can be very, very useful. On top of all that, they have 30% missile resist, which combined with their low profile makes them very, very resilient to missile units. Low model count means that they're great for targets for healing as well. All around, this unit has just very, very much surprised me over the past couple months. Ever since their buffs, they've been doing very, very well in all the games I've taken them in and the ones I've seen them in. In the 3rd place spot, we have a personal favorite of mine, the Khemrian War Sphinx. One of the biggest weaknesses that Tomb Kings face in most tournament play is large amounts of armored infantry. Now, their frontline units are armor-piercing. Ushabti have very, very low melee attacks, they can't really cut through most armored infantry, so you're typically forced to rely on your shooting, your catapults, or the Chosen of the Gods to really clear off that armored infantry for you. But with this thing, it actually does quite well charging through armored infantry lines, as well as causing terror and large amounts of shock damage, so it can rout off a lot of armored infantry pretty quickly. If you really want to keep it moving, you're looking for that bounding animation where it just cleaves right through all the infantry it's in its path, and it can do a lot of work for you. And it doesn't take a whole lot of damage on the return because you're keeping it moving so much. It's big, it's tanky, and it has all the passive healing from Tomb Kings. It can clear out large amounts of infantry for you very, very effectively. And this thing, I think, is one of the really hidden gems on the Tomb King roster. Coming in at 2nd place, we have the humble Crocs for the Lizardmen. Ever since their buffs in 3.0 and the Chaos Dwarves launched, I found these guys to be a really solid anti-armored infantry piece, which is something the Lizards kind of lacked. Now, their infantry really had great armor-piercing options. Red-crested skinks, they're fine, but they're incredibly squishy and their attack is low. They can't really deal with that elite armored infantry options. So having Crocs on the front line really adds a lot of armor-piercing punch, as well as resilience against things like cavalry charges and chariot charges that Lizards previously lacked. On top of the fact that they have so much armor and HP, makes them an excellent source or target for all the healing sources you have as Lizardmen. The Rev Crystals, the Life Salon, means you can add a lot of durability and arm-piercing punch to your front line. And then, like I was saying, they're also quite good against cavalry, which is something the Lizards kind of struggle with as well. Their cav of their own isn't very good, they don't have a strong mobility game these days, so having that durable, monstrous piece in your front line really adds a lot to the Saurus or Skink frontline that you usually field anyway. So I think Crocs are really slept on these days, and I've had a lot of success with them in a lot of matchups. And finally, coming in the 1st place spot, we have the Deathglow Bombardiers for the Skaven. In days past, Skaven used to really heavily rely on their basic Poison Globadiers as their anti-infantry option, but as time has gone on and they've gotten nerfed repeatedly, the Poison Wind effect just isn't that useful anymore. We've seen a lot of Skaven players migrate away from globes entirely, which kind of surprises me when this guy is right here and so ready to deal so much damage for you. They're a little pricey at 900 gold, but the damage they output is so much higher than the other globe options, or most of your other weapon teams in general. They can practically one-shot most infantry units with a single volley. They do absolutely devastating damage against cavalry as well, and they can even do alright into lower model count units like monstrous infantry or as single entities, but infantry is really where they shine. They're pretty squishy, so you do need to protect them, but if you can keep them online, or heck, if you can even just find the right target for them, they will more than pay for themselves very, very quickly. But hey, those are just the opinions of this egg-laying mammal. If you guys think I was right about these units, you think they're underrated as well, or if you think I'm absolutely crazy for overlooking your favorite unit, please let me know down in the comments. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.